If you want to learn the best and easiest way to trace patterns on your fabric and have accurate results, then this video will help you. Hi, I'm Ali, and today I want to share with you a great way that I found to trace my patterns onto fabric if you don't have a template. And this method will really help you, especially if you're a bag maker or if you make like small pouches, toiletry bags, and even quilting if you quilt. I think this method will really help you, because you see, when you have a PDF pattern that you usually print that on regular printer paper, but today we're going to print it on freezer paper. That's my go-to method. I always print them or try to print them on freezer paper. That way I can easily apply it to the fabric, and cutting the fabric becomes a breeze. Now, if I have a template for that pattern, that's better, of course. But if you don't, then this is the way to go. So I'm working on another project, and I went ahead and printed the pattern on my freezer paper, and I was cutting the fabric. So I decided to show you how I did that. And I cut home decor fabric and waterproof canvas. So I'm going to show you those two types of fabrics. You know, the method is a little bit different depending on the fabric. And then we're going to cut the fabric together, so you'll see how easy it is. This is truly a quick video that it's a great tool to have. It's a great way to use something that you usually wouldn't think you use for your sewing or crafting, which is freezer paper. I'm using this brand. I'm not an affiliate of this brand. It doesn't have to be this brand. You just find whatever freezer paper you have available, and you'll mostly find it in the area where you find the aluminum foil and other things like that for baking. The most important thing is that it is plastic coated paper. So find this freezer paper. This one is 18 inches wide. I can get enough pieces of paper out of a roll like this. I'm drawing it on the matte side of the paper where there's no wax. At this point, you can use your scissors and cut the paper that way. However, if you want a little bit more accuracy or faster way of cutting the paper, you can use your rotary cutter if you have one. So as you can see, here are all my pieces, and I think I cut 11. I need 10, but I always like to have 1 or 2 extra just in case I mess up. Okay, but at this point you're going to have to play with your printer and see what's the best setting for your printer. Each one is different. Find a way that you can feed the paper into your printer so that it prints on the matte side of the paper, not on the waxy side. You see how shiny it is? This is the waxy side, and this is the side that is going to go against your fabric when you're tracing your pattern. And here's my printer. I have tested this before, so what I did is that I put a little sticky here on my printer to remind me how to place my paper inside the printer. So my printer prints on the bottom page, which means that I need to put the wax side of my paper, so this side, the shiny side up, because it's going to print here on the bottom. I open my little tray here and wax side up. I put like 2 or 3 pieces at once with the wax side up in there. So now let's go ahead and print it. And here it is. it printed on the matte side, and here's the waxy side. It did fold the paper a little bit here because this paper is a little bit lighter weight than regular printer paper. So that's why I only like to do 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, because I don't want it to get stuck. But other than that, look, is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest and then cut it and put it together and show you how it works. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. So now all of our pattern pieces are here, all cut and ready to be applied to the fabric. So to do that, we're going to prep the fabric first. And I like to press my fabric and remove any wrinkles, because you want your fabric to be as flat as possible before you place any of your pattern pieces over it. We're going to place the patterns pieces on the back side of your fabric. And so I fold my fabric and I make sure my fabric is on grain. And so here's my selvage. I make sure my selvage is straight. Then you're going to fold your fabric. And in this case, I'm going to have 2 layers. Here's my fold. And it's on the wrong side. I'm applying the pattern pieces on the wrong side of the fabric. That's where it's best to do all your markings, on the wrong side if you can. Now we're going to take some pins and I'm just going to join both layers of fabric together to help it stay in place and prevent it from moving when I'm cutting the fabric. So for any of your quilting cotton fabric or home decor or anything like that, you can place your pattern pieces on the wrong side of the fabric. Now, if you're using waterproof canvas or any other material that may have some sort of coating or special finish, it may be a little bit different, but we'll go over that in just a moment. Let's continue with this home decor fabric here. So I have my patterns that I am going to cut for this fabric. And what I like to do actually is I like to get the fabric a little bit warm again. And you're going to take one of the pattern pieces. I align it along the selvage here, the very edge, just to make sure that it's straight, because it has those 2 arrows that is showing that it needs to be cut on grain. So I place my pattern piece there and then I just slightly press it with the iron. You see how it got stuck in there? Now I'm going to do the same with this other piece, which I actually need to leave a little more room because I need to modify this a little. But again, this is all I have to do. And look, done. And look, it's not moving. Look, it's not moving. So, isn't that amazing? So, I mean, it will make it so accurate to be able to trace the pattern and cut it. And you know for a fact this is not going to be crooked or anything. So now all you have to do is trace your pattern. Now you can use your ruler and trace it like this if you want, and just use your removable ink marker. Or you can simply just trace it like that if you feel like you have good dexterity. Okay, so now you just pretty much cut your fabric with the best method that you can or what you have. You can use your rotary cutter, cut it that way. You can use your cutting scissors, or you can use this electrical scissors. I'm going to use the electrical scissors right now because it's just faster and easier. And as you can see, I moved the fabric around and the paper just would not get off, like it was stuck to it. And so I can just now peel it off, and no residue on my fabric at all of any wax. And it's perfect. I mean, it's the perfect size. Everything is just the way it needs to be. If I need to cut this again for whatever reason, all I have to do is just place it wherever I need to place it again, where I need to cut it, and look. It's there again. And this one is kind of peeling off a little bit, and all I have to do is just add a little bit of heat. Not too much because I have my ink and I don't want my ink to disappear, which it did. Look at that. But as you can see, you can just apply a little bit of heat again if you see that your paper is kind of lifting up a little bit, and that's it, and it will reapply. Now I'm going to press my pattern piece to the fabric. It's nice and in place, not moving. And I'm going to use the regular scissors so that you can see also with this example how easy it is. The beauty is that you can move your fabric around and you don't have to worry that the pattern is shifting in place. And again, if you feel like your pattern is not sticking really well, just press it and maybe leave it a little bit longer, as long as you're not damaging your fabric, and it should work. See how I'm lifting the fabric here, and I'm just cutting this like if I was cutting a piece of paper. Nice. Now let's do the same but with the waterproof canvas. I'm going to show you the tips on how to press your freezer paper pattern onto waterproof canvas. The key here is to do everything on the right side of the fabric, because the back side has a PVC coating, so like a plastic. That's what makes the fabric waterproof. So in this case, when you apply the heat to press the pattern onto the fabric, you don't want to put your iron on the PVC side of it because it will damage your iron. This will melt for sure. So everything has to be done on the right side of the fabric. You can press your waterproof canvas, but it has to be done rather quickly. So otherwise, the back PVC coating will start melting, and it will join both pieces of fabric together, and you are not going to be able to peel it off, believe me. So just add some heat, of course you can, but just keep an eye on the back here so it doesn't melt. Take your pattern piece one more time, and this one I'm placing it along the fold. Before I do that, I almost forgot to pin this fabric together. I like to heat my fabric a little bit to kind of help the freezer paper a little bit more. Okay, so there it is. It's aligned to the fold, and now I'm just going to press it. And again, I don't want to keep the iron there for too long because I don't want my PVC coating to start melting on the back. But if you feel like that didn't help and your pattern is kind of lifting up a little bit, like here, just go ahead and press it one more time. It'll be okay. Okay. And again, I'm just going to, you can trace it, remove the pattern and cut it that way, or you can use your electrical scissors, you can use your rotary cutter, whatever is easier for you. So I am going to do that. I'm going to show you this other way. And I'm tracing on the right side of the fabric. And I know that we try not to do that, but in this situation, we really don't have much of an option. And I'm not too concerned because when I sew this, when I stitch it together, if there's any markings on my fabric, it's going to be hidden on my seam allowance, so I should be okay. Remove the pattern, and now I can take my scissors and just trim it. I'll show you here that you can just trace it, remove the pattern, cut it. You can cut it directly with the pattern on the fabric, or you can just trace it and cut it that way.